Welcome to Roleplay Cafe. It's Dale here. Thought I'd get on today and talk about role-playing games. I guess I would say that across the spectrum of role-playing games, that the creators of the games wish to embody inside the games a matrix of sort, an experience of play. And to some degree, successfully or unsuccessfully, they try to instill into the game mechanisms of play that will support that experience for the players. Now, in my previous experiences, in my history of play, personally, it's been for the majority of play something akin to what we're experiencing in Baramaze and Dragon Slayer right now. And Joth. I say Joth to the extent that, in my personal, did get hirelings or torchbearers or any of that, right? Which may explain to why we could hardly get above level 3, and I think I made it to level 7 with one character. But that being said, the experience itself was a lot of housekeeping and party formation agreements and discussions in and out of situations, preparatorial discussions. And, through that, there was an understanding of the type of characters and their temperament. And that was, I've noted before that, we may give a standard stereotypical, if somebody's playing a dwarf, retort in conversation or whatever as a dwarf. But there wasn't too much character development for any of these characters. Not directly, probably indirectly, in how we played the characters, mostly in combat situations, but somewhat in social situations. And whether somebody was gruff, but it was pretty much basic archetypal personalities that we were just wasn't much of a subtlety or depth of character or complexity. That wasn't necessarily the concern, but it was there to some degree. Now, it could be argued that, and successfully, and I could probably be in that camp to some degree, that could argue that you can have a more full-bodied, enriched play is concerning the day, because we've had some amazing games of Dark Age of Man where there's been tortured moments and moments where there was really decisions that had to be made that was critical and pivotal in this character's worldview. You could feel it tugging at him, and it was that kind of the other people at the table, right? So that is a whole level of play that it can be achieved. Now, that's valid. The play that we see now, and I should back up a second, because I really never got into in-character, as-character play so much until I started playing with Jason. Stepping in the character's shoes and running his games, it was to facilitate more immediacy of play and more of an in-character, as-character interaction between player and how the game moved along. So we've got that kind. Now, it could be said that the type of play or old school player, the OSR, is a lesser form of play. It could be argued. Now, Jason's put up several videos where he's really enjoying this style of play as a player and sees the value in it. To me, in my experience, is kind of stepping back. It's not retarded in the fact that I'm going back to a lesser in this way. There are strengths to it that are there. For one, whenever you're in a game such as Dark Age of Man, where you have a lot of intensive character dialogue, he stated as a GM, we did that on purpose because it is definitely a critical difference in that traditional representation or supposed representation traditionally at the table. It changes that position. Now, when we're playing old school OSR, now in real life, we had 6 players last night. There is a lot of what I find as, in my previous play sessions before my online, in the fact that there is the housekeeping, the resource management, the attention to party formations, so the discussion of what's going to happen here, job roles being filled and called up. It's on the job, task driven type of mentality that's being expressed. You have a role, and when you got to do your job, let me get to opening this chest, or cleric, we need you over here. All right, so you call it. This happens in real life. This is, on my job, I have to factor in how much chemicals I need to apply, how many stops I have per day, what I need to address or make calls. I'm doing all these calculations and all this record keeping and this resource management to my job. Now, this isn't character development. This is something that I have to be engaged in as a person in my life. So the point being is, when we're playing a game, when you're approaching dangerous situations, or you're in certain danger zones in the game or in the game world, you got to be prepared. You know what can happen, and what character wouldn't be mindful of these things that they have to take account and struggle of the character. There is a job to be done. There's a task at hand that has to be the ways and measuring, which seems like so much could be argued, that takes away from the dream that particular accusation holds much water when compared to a real life individual who is interfacing with life, their job, their day-to-day dealings with their family, the upkeep of their house, facing in game as reflected in game, as reflected of life in game. All these mechanized moments where you pull out of character and you're weighing and measuring and buying equipment and all this stuff. We do this in life. Struggle, this existential crisis or whatnot. This is something that has to be addressed, and that to me in game is very, very much a reflection of how we as individuals interact. Be solely in character as character. It's a mindset to where you're dealing with what is on the table, so to speak, and what needs to be dealt with. And whenever you, especially the number of players you have, like we had 6 players, it's summarization, give them to the GM so we can have our marching orders. We have everybody's job. So this information can be relayed to the GM. This could be like, especially if you've got 20 guys, like a party caller. Let's expedite, let's streamline this, get this information so we don't get bogged down. Everybody's represented, and then we moment to have the spotlight on them, and they get to shine, and you get to represent these characters in character, as character, in a dialogue with an NPC that the GM's representing. Those are moments where you get to see that come alive. And they may not be as frequent in a less player heavy game to that activity. But when you got, especially the more players you got, they are highlighted in play. Whenever we was playing last night and Jorge had the moment where he had to parlay with the Black Knight, it was obvious from his charisma and his station in the party as the Paladin that he would address the Black Knight. So therefore, we zoomed in, put the monocle on it, and then watch it play out because it was of interest to everybody. That was like a key thing. It wasn't mundane, so to speak. So we could say, okay, this warrants social interaction, which happens in game, where we had to pull the advisor out and talk to him. And Eloy did a masterful job of playing the foppish advisor as he was answering questions. And we did that. So that moment was something that was highlighted, and everybody gets to express those in the interaction, their character. Now, there could be moments where you want to summarize toward the end there. Nagion on the sideline is bugging Thelonious about, like, just to pick his brain. What do you think about going back to the Toad to bring your master to life now? Trying to do that because it had enough character dialogue and delve into those characters a little bit different to get to know them. So that's always a nice aspect of the experience of play to delve into when we have the luxury of sessions to where we get to realize a little bit more and develop these characters. But it's no less important style or type of play to be playing in a way that is more traditional, mechanized, representing the party members of how we need to get the job done. It's just representative of a different, to me, it's reflective of a different part of life. When I get to do my job, I'm of that mindset, so I need to get things done. There is validity to the types of play and the approaches of play, the necessity of play, and one don't more so trump the other, but they're more. I'll get off here. Just some food for thought, and I'll catch y'all later.